screen. I'll write it down also so that you know exactly what I'm talking about. Um,
Yes, for our attendees, can you please send us a thumbs up on the chat box so that we can confirm that you can actually see and hear us?
oh,
Thank
that's all
you.
right. They can
Thank you.
see.
Yep,
Someone
that's
has
good.
done that. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for the thumbs up. Amazing. Amazing. Yep. It's good. It's good to hear. All right. Probably we can actually start. Oh, it's
Yes.
already recording. All right, cool. So
Yep.
yep, thank you so much everyone for attending. My name is Marvin. I'm one of the course advisors here at EIT. Okay, I'm actually based in the Philippines. All right, so yep, for a few reminders, for the notifications, all right, for you to have a laser focused attention on the discussion, we would like to request to turn off all the notification settings from your, if you're using your phone and if you're using your laptop, please turn it off so that you can actually focus on the discussion. And then, of course, we'd like to remind you, if you do have any questions afterwards, you can post that up on the Q&A section on the upper side of the screen. You can post that on the Q&A section there, okay? And we'd like to remind everyone as well that we have an interactive Q&A session right after Professor Kalam's presentation. So just kindly post all your questions there and we will answer them. And you can directly ask Professor Akhtar for those questions that you have. Okay. All right. And then for common questions, okay, so there will be a copy of slides and of course the link to the video recording that will be sent to you for those who registered. It will be sent to you in the next 2 business days. All right. So just monitor your junk mails as well because it usually goes straight there. Okay. And right after the presentation, after the webinar, there will be a QR code wherein you need to fill out a survey form. Okay. So, yep. Thank you so much. And then for today's topic, that would be human ethics and research integrity. This will be presented to us by Emeritus Professor Akhtar Kalam. He's on your screen right now. This is the EIT Doctoral Seminar number 8. And again, this will be presented by Dr. Kalam. Okay. For those who are new here, okay, just a little background of, I'm sorry, can I can have the control first? Okay, so yep. So for those who are new here, okay, a little background about EIT. So EIT is actually an education provider based in Australia. We have campuses in Perth, Melbourne, and of course, we just recently opened our Brisbane campus. Okay, so we are an engineering specialist. So we offer courses. If you say engineering, um, we're on that, we're on top of that. We are specialists in terms of engineering courses. Okay, we offer a wide range of programs from our professional certificate courses to our diploma, undergraduate certificates, advanced diplomas, a bachelor's, graduate certificates and diplomas, masters, and of course, Doctor of Engineering. So these programs are industry-oriented programs. They are designed by industry experts, all right, just to make sure that what you have really learned with the IT is applicable and, of course, valuable to employers and what is really needed in the industry. So our programs are actually we have programs that are accredited by the Australian government and at the same time, of course, with engineering bodies and of course recognized under the three international accords, which is Washington, Dublin, and of course Sydney. Okay, so our industry experienced lecturers. These are delivered by industry experienced lecturers and then also delivered to us by a unique delivery model. We also make use of live webinars such as this, of course, and we have international pool of lecturers, and then state-of-the-art technologies such as hands-on workshop, remote laboratories, and simulation softwares. Now, without further ado, I will allow our presenter today to introduce himself, Professor Kalam. Yep, Professor, the floor is yours.
Right. Thank you very much, Marv, for introducing me and giving me an opportunity to continue on with this presentation. First of all, about myself. And this is very embarrassing, but I will do my own introduction. I have been at EIT for a long period of time. But before I say anything, I was the architect, the main architect for this Doctor of Engineering program. I wrote this document about 7 years back, and you'll be surprised that we have got 63 students in DEng program today. And I supervise 6 of those 63 students. So I supervise 10% of those students. I enjoyed them, and I can tell you right now, the students that we have at EIT are much better than what I have got in other PhD programs, because I've got 9 PhD students in another university, and my DEng students are better than my PhD student. I can tell you right now, categorically, I'm telling you. There are two subtle difference, and one is that the PhD topic is in a very small topic, and therefore it's a very limited sort of range, whereas PhD is very broad scoped and with a lot of opportunities. So much for the DEng program and what it is. I got my education in India, United States, and UK, and I've worked in 4 continents, and I'm the member of number of industrial bodies. So my next slide, and I am in slide number 7, and I'm talking about the agenda. I've got 7 topics in the agenda, and you can see that. And fundamentally, I'll go through each one of them. Then in slide number 8, I'm talking about the basics. Now, first of all, I want to define you what is ethics. And this is not my definition. It is in the Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy. It talks about the branch of philosophy that involves systematizing, defending, and recommending. So systematizing, defending, and recommending concept of your conduct, whether it's a right conduct or wrong conduct. So fundamentally, is giving you the broad definition that are you doing with a right attitude and conduct. So this talk that I'm going to be talking about today is just about the specific branch of ethics. It deals with research conducted with or about people or their data or their tissues. Okay, so that is what it is, and so fundamentally, it's a very fundamental presentation that I'm going to do today. So my next slide, which is slide number 9, and the question is that what is human research? When I talk about human research, this is a research which is conducted with people. This is research with studies were conducted on people. So with people, on people, with their data on tissues or tissues. Can you see? 3 things. Research which is conducted with people, research which were conducted on people, so with and on, and research which deals with their data or tissue. So can you see that what I'm trying to hint at the moment is to tell you that very clearly I'm telling you that it is just like you have for the people, by the people, to the people. This is with the people, on the people, and their data. Now, I use the word tissue because in engineering principle in particular, there's not a very big issue as far as ethics is concerned, you find that most of the time we deal with non-living aspects, so our impact of ethics is not that difficult. But those who are doing biological science, health sciences, it's a very big issue. So it's a big problem as far as that is concerned. So now the next slide that I want to talk is about the values. So when I talk about the values of research, and this is what I'm talking about, that is fundamentally I am talking about the following thing. I'm talking about a robust foundation for researchers. That is, the first thing I want to mention is the merit of research and integrity of research. Remember this thing, integrity of research. Just like you've got academic integrity, you've got research integrity. So I'm talking about research which must be worthwhile and have value to the community. If it is not worthwhile, why waste everyone's time? So it must be of some value to the community. Then a research which has respect for human beings. So it doesn't consider human beings as just as a piece of furniture or something like that. It has full respect for that human being. That means it recognizes that each human being has value for him or herself. The third thing that we do is to look at the beneficence. That is, the obligation to maximize possible benefits and minimize possible harm. So look at that. So you're maximizing the benefits and you're minimizing the harms. The fourth thing that research ethics bring is justice, which means it addresses the resolution of the question of who ought to receive the benefits of research and bear its burden. So this must be very clear to you why we are doing the research. So next, and I'm on slide number 11, and we talk about who are the participants. Who are they? What are we talking about? Participants are those people who are the principal focus of the research and whom the research impacts, whether it's concurrent impact or retrospective impact. So when I look at the participants in human research, and as I told you, human research is a very difficult topic. It is very, very broad. And it involves participants in a wide range of manners. So, in fact, because it is such a wide range of manners, right? And you have to make sure that you take part in surveys. So you find a lot of surveys happening, a lot of interviews happening, a lot of focus groups coming in. So you have that sort of issue all the time. And then I said that those people who are undergoing psychological, physiological, or medical testing or treatment. So look at that thing, three things which is becoming a very big issue in today's climate and world: psychological, physiological, and medical. And the third thing is basically being observed by research. So someone is observing that object, which is that human being. And the fourth thing is that research are human. The research which is having access to personal documents or other material. Now this is a very hard thing. You cannot breach the privacy of anyone. You just can't breach the privacy of anyone. Just because you're doing research does not mean that I can breach someone's privacy. Remember, privacy in Australia is a sacred thing. It's a relationship between the body that the private materials are kept and individuals. So you cannot go and blab all around the world what you have found about individual suspect, individual subject. So, in fact, it is the collection and use of a, it's basically a collection and use of a, it's a collection and use of body organs. It could be tissues, it could be fluids, it could be exhaled breath, it could have access to information of individual, it could be identifiable, it could be re-identifiable, it could be non-identifiable, right? Or it could be part of any existing published or unpublished source or database. So that is the participants in human research. Now, after that, I come to slide number 13. So before you start, what you need to know, and that is something that I want you to understand. What do you need to know before you start? Because we are in Australia, I think the first thing you need to know is the Australian Code for Responsible Conduct of Research. So, and that is very important because the only research worth performing is that which is conducted with integrity. So that is the only research which is worth it if there is an integrity over there. All researchers are required to comply with the Australian Code for the Responsible Conduct of Research. Now, I do know that there could be someone in Spain, in Morocco, in Africa, in Zimbabwe, I don't know. So you have to make sure, because if your research is being done by an Australian institution, they still have to comply with the Australian Code. And part A of that code talks about the principles and practices of responsible research conduct or of research. So responsible research conduct of all research. So who has the responsibility? Anyone who is managing the research data. The supervision, the publication, the dissemination of findings, authorship, peer reviews, all the collections you have made, all the collaboration you have done. And part B talks about breaches, where, if possible, you are making breach, where there is research misconduct, and where it resolves the allegation. The fourth dot point I'm talking about is researchers should obtain a copy of the Code of Conduct for Research and familiarize yourself with its requirement. And you can obtain the copy. It's very easy. I've given the website from where you can obtain a copy of that. My next slide, which is slide number 14. My slide number 14 is talking about the national statement on ethical conduct in human research. Sorry, slide number 15. So you want to be able to promote ethically a sound research. This research requires respect. The most important thing, it requires respect and protection. All participants are absolutely assured that they will be treated with respect and protection. Their privacy will not be hampered and shortchanged. The second thing, it requires to foster research that is beneficial to the community. There's no point working on a research that does not help the community, in particular when we have got research which is psychological, physiological, and medical type. So in order to clarify the responsibilities, we have got institutions and researchers for the ethical design, conduct, and dissemination of results of human research. So human research are very difficult. Even to get the approvals, it takes long time. You have to make sure that you review the bodies in the ethical review of research. So researchers must be familiar with the national statement requirements of researchers conducting research with human participants. Again, you can find that because it's an NHMRC, which is a health and medical research, you can find that publication in NHMRC website. Now I've come to the slide number 16. I've come to slide number 16, and I'm going to talk about the big picture. And I want to start right from the beginning. I'm going to apply for ethics approval. So my question is that who is going to be dealing with my application? So let's find that out. So the first thing is that in every institution, there is an ethics and biosafety administration group. They are the one who are administering all ethics application. And for whichever body it is, right, whichever ethical body it is, whichever secondary body it is, whichever faculty-based body it is, they are looking at it. So they are administering the policies, and they're administrating the procedures, which is there, right, which is by these bodies. Then they have to report this. They have to report this to the Commonwealth and state authorities and regulatory agencies. Then they have to resource reviews and inspections of facilities and ensure currency of scientific and establishment license. Then they have to promote specialist information and advice to committees, members of staff and research students regarding the human rights, and whether it's animal welfare, whether it is game technology, whatever it is, or biosafety. So they have to look at all that, right? And they have to look at the to promulgate the requirements of code of conduct for research and the national statement to facilitate improvements to research at any institution. So in fact, they are the ones who are administering all ethics application for whichever committee it is, for whichever faculty it is. They are the ones who are conducting any initial review of all applications. They are the ones who are looking at the service committees and develop the agendas. They are the ones who are going to notify researchers of the outcomes of their application. They are the ones who will monitor compliance with ethics and regulatory requirements. They are the ones which manage allegations of ethical breaches. They are the ones who receive all requests. That means look at all the amendments, all the extension to any approved projects. So then my question is that who is going to approve or review my application? I've given the ethics application who's going to do that. Okay. And this is, I told you, we have got a research ethics committee. They are going to review it. The first thing they want to make sure is that there is minimal risk application or no risk at all. The second thing they will look at, they might look at application for other institutions to find what has been the decision in those institutions. This is the whole institution ethics application. In the faculty itself, there is a review committee which looks at minimal risk application and looks at the risk of discomfort. And they're looking at negligible risk. Every project has got a list because they don't want any inconvenience. So if you look carefully, this is the type of structure that we have. This is the type of structure that we have. This committee structure that we are talking about is as follows. Okay, you see that there is the University Research Committee, there is all the various committees like the animal one, the intellectual property one, the human research one. Okay, they're looking at all the policies, they're looking at different faculties, say arts education in one branch, in this is at Victoria University, the other one is looking at business and law, and the third one is looking at health, engineering, and science. This is the type of committee that is looking at. And then what they do is that this committee, the university one, reviews the resolutions from minutes and anomalies that may have arisen with the Human and Research Ethics Committee of that institution. Okay? And then it deals with non-minimal, I told you, non-minimal risk application like projects which are involving children, special groups, intrusive techniques, or very sensitive material which has been reviewed at this level. So you find that they ratify the faculty committees report and decisions and manages membership, implement the procedures and formulate the responses to NHRC. Now, the other thing that they are doing is that they review the minimal risk I told you, which is there. That means any extension or any amendments which is required, they look at that and look at other application which has been forwarded to this committee, whether it's from faculty, from the human research body, and make recommendation and procedures. Then what they do, then what they do is develop policies and procedures. So this is what they're doing. They develop policy because they don't know anything about it. So they look at what is the existing issues and what is the emerging issues. So they develop policy on the run. Then how do you manage the research projects and ethics? How do you manage this project research and ethics? Okay, and you have to be very careful in this. You have to do it very carefully. You have to manage your time carefully. Then you have to look at the project management. That means if you are a DEng student at EIT, that's the first thing I would tell you. Can you give me a Gantt chart where you will be running your projects? I want someone to be expert in project management plan, use Microsoft project management or whatever you want to use that can tell me what is the uniqueness of the project and what is the complexity and what are the connected activities. So you look at the project management, you understand the time, the resources, and the quality. You factor in the ethics application process into the research project, and the committee meetings are deadline driven. So submission deadlines are very important. You can't do that after the deadline, or else you might have to wait for 2 to 3 months before the next meeting of that committee occurs. And then you have to address the amendments, which may take more time than expected. So I put a stop over there, and I want to give you an example. My example I want to do is about a project that I had started this is about 10 to 12 years back. And this was a project of producing hydrogen from water. So we had the electrolyzer, we had everything. And I was using the hydrogen. At that time, even 15 years back, I was looking at hydrogen as a source for energy, for producing energy. And it was a very good project. It was a beautiful project. I worked on that for 7 years. Beautiful project. So many publications I had. I had 2 PhD students coming out of it. But do you understand, after 7 years of observation, the universities hired the Human Research Ethics Committee came and closed my lab. They said, Professor Kalam, You're working with very dangerous elements, that's hydrogen, and the student are going to die. And then you are making it worse by using it for converting it to electricity. And I was using that electricity to run my power lab. You'd be surprised, and I started crying because I had millions of dollars grant and I had beautiful electrolyzers, I had hydrogen generators, you name it, and I had it. I had more equipment than the best universities in the world. And they came and canned it because they thought the project was too dangerous. And if one student is killed in the project, it'd be too difficult. I even promised them that this project is not dangerous. I will place it next to my room, but they did not agree with that at all. And they canned the project. So they are very strong, my friends. They're very strong because they can take their time. It took them 1 year to come to that decision. They bought so many people from outside and they canned the project. And I can assure you, it is a matter that has always has been a big sore mark as far as my career is concerned. Now the historical background. I'm on slide number 21. I want to take you to a bit of background. And I want to take you through the world. In 1946, there was the Nuremberg Code. In 1964, okay, in 1964, about 18 years afterward, was a declaration in Helsinki. In 1979, there was a Belmont Report. And in 2010, there was a Singapore Statement on Research Integrity. So, let us see the definition of research integrity. We all have heard of so much about academic integrity. Now I'm talking about research integrity. So when I talk about research integrity, I can define this as an active adherence to the ethic principles and professional standards. Remember, we are professionals. Even if you're an engineer, you're a professional. Even if you're a chemist, you're a professional. You're a pharmacist, you're a professional. You're a nurse, you're a professional. So we are professional bodies and we take responsibility to conduct the research in an ethical manner. That is what is called integrity. So let us see what is the integrity in my research. Let us see what's the integrity in my research. And I'm in slide number 23. So I'm looking at research integrity, which is an integral part of all of these following stages. That means planning, conducting of research, and disseminating the result. So I plan properly. You remember I told you about the project management plan. Then you have to conduct the research and you have to disseminate the results. So then let us see what is the sources guideline which is responsible to conduct the research. And in fact, they are basically the professional codes. If you are an engineer, you can look at Code of Conduct of Engineers Australia, and similar for the accounting body, for the health bodies, whatever, NHMRC, I gave you example of that. You can look at government legislation. You can look at institutional policy as far as human subjects are concerned, animal subjects are concerned, any research misconduct and conflict of interest. The first two, human subjects and animal subjects, fortunately for most of our engineers, we don't deal with that. So therefore, it's not a very big issue. But those who are working in the medical area, in the biomedical area, those who are working in psychological area, in physiological area, they're all dealing with that. And it's a very, very tough task. So here I told you, you are the ones who are going to be responsible. You as a person, it's your value, your responsibility to make sure that you conduct the research responsibly. Now, if you look at slide number 25, and in slide number 25, I'm looking at the ethical principle. So here I want to make sure, and I want to make clear about these few dot points. It looks like there are a lot of dot points. Okay, there are about 16 dot points I've got over there. My first dot point is honesty. Remember, my friend, you must be honest. It's not only honest, you must be transparent. You must know what is the objective of your work. What are you doing? What is the objectivity? You must understand integrity. You must be careful with all the work that you are doing. You must be open. That's why I said transparent. You must respect IPs. Do not cheat, my friends. You must understand confidentiality. If you've got information on human subject, do not go and blab all around the world. You must be responsible for any publication, and those publications must be with integrity. You cannot be cheating, you cannot be vandalizing, you cannot be doing distorting, you can't make it better just because you want to do your research to look nice. You must have mentoring, which is this is where the very important thing of responsible mentoring. You understand, you need people who are your supervisors, who are experienced in this type of work, who respect colleagues, who have social responsibility. They don't believe in discrimination. They are competent because qualification as well as skills and experience. And the legality of the work. They care for animal if it's an animal research. They care for human subject if it's a human subject research. Now I come to the most important thing, human subjects. As I told you, it might not be too important for an engineering project, but you must know that. And this is a guiding principle from Belmont report, which was in 1979. You must show respect for person. Whether it's individual has to be treated as autonomous agents. Persons with diminished autonomy are entitled also for protection. The second thing is beneficence. That means do not harm. Maximize possible benefit and minimize possible harm. You must do justice. A justice occurs when some benefit to which a person is entitled is denied without good reason, or when some burden is imposed unduly. Now, I go to my next topic, which I continue with this topic, which is on human subject and some of the issues that I would like to consider with you today. The issue that I want to consider is that critically evaluate the decision to conduct research, in particular when you are looking at human beings. Comply with regulation. Remember, you are only safe. Even if you get negative result, doesn't make any difference. As long as you are within the regulation, you are following the protocols. You protect individual rights to self-determination. You promote responsible use of human subjects. You can't go wrong if you are using these four principles. Now I go to the animals. So my animal subjects, this is an interesting thing. Many people, especially from overseas, from the Asian region, might not have that importance, understanding of animal research, but in Australia and other Western countries, cruelty to animal is completely a taboo. And that comes under the Act in 1876, when it said the central problem is determining what is and what is not human treatment of animals, and how human treatment can be promoted without prejudice to your scientific and medical aims. Then we come to my next thing, because we all understand this, and this is something that very dear to me in particular is publication. We are very interested in publication and authorship. Although I have given one lecture on publications and all, but here I want to talk from the research aspect, from the ethics aspect. You know that you can write a lot of papers, but only those which are published is going to be recognized. So research, if you have done, has got no meaning if you have got no publications. Because unless and until you are published, how do you know that peer evaluation has been done? So when we talk about publication, people say, ah, but publication means I've got my H10 score, H score, how much H10 score I've got, how much I10 score I've got. All that is immaterial. That's just a metrics. So it's not a number of credit that you get. You have got, you have got significant responsibilities in publishing, including accurate work, complete work, clear work, and unbiased presentation of research. Naturally, as an author, you get credit, you get responsibility for any deficit, you are transparent, you should determine who should be an author. I continue with my publications and authorship in my next slide, which is slide number 30. So according to the Medical Journal of Editors, it says an author can be a person who makes substantial contribution to the concept and design, acquisition of data or analysis, and interpretation of data. This is the first group of the one who has done the main work. Anyone who has drafted the author or revised it critically for important intellectual content, that's where your supervisors might come in, where they have done that. Or those who have approved the final version to be published might be a research committee. I don't know whoever it is. But anyone who has been an iota of involvement they have had, you must give them an honor of being part of your paper. And my suggestion, this is not a rule, this is my suggestion. Whoever is the DEng student or a doctoral student, the student should be the first author. And my philosophy is that if they are the first author, if there's going to be any prize, it will not go to the supervisor, but it will go to the students rather than to the supervisor, because they have done all the hard work. Then we hear about biosecurity, and I'm in slide number 31. When you talk about biosecurity, this is efforts which are there, which is designed to minimize the likelihood that biological research will be misused for malicious purposes, such as bioweapons. You will find, in particular in Australian research, when you're filling in the form, they specifically ask that these following countries are taboo. What is their involvement? Is your research going to be used for bioweapons or something like that? You have to declare it. Then there's dual usage of research. That means any type of legitimate life science research that has the potential to be misused for malicious purposes. So that comes under biosecurity. Then my next thing is collaboration. Remember, no one is a Einstein and Newton anymore. We have to collaborate with others. So that's where the challenge is. And that's where you have to have a communication of what you have achieved. What is the methodology and what data are you sharing? So the collective skills, knowledge, and resources is what I call collaboration. Funding favors program in which each key area is tied to a recognized expert in that field. That is called collaboration. Interdisciplinary research, a lot of that is happening. Gives great breakthrough. Private sector and academic partnership, it gives great breakthrough. I'll give you an example of that as a case study. And my example I want to talk about is, did you know that wind turbine, and I've worked a lot in wind turbine, and I could not understand this myself. I used to do a lot of research on wind turbine, and I could not understand why those children living in close proximity to the wind turbine are getting deaf. I couldn't understand that. I could not understand why this was happening. And later on, I found that we were doing all these as an engineers, we were doing all these research on wind turbine, but we forgot to ask a child specialist of the impact of that. Do you know, if you're living in near close proximity to a wind turbine, constant low frequency noise like this, throughout 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, you're hearing this, won't you go deaf? I, as an engineer, did not consider that. Later on, they found out And therefore, now there are state laws which says that 5 kilometers in the proximity of a wind turbine, you cannot have a house. And the EPA, the Environmental and Protection Authority, will cancel the license and not approve that license. Then comes something very interesting, and we keep on hearing this all the time, conflict of research. And I'm on slide number 33. And this conflict of interest is a very interesting one because this only exists when the individual has interest in the outcomes of the research that may lead to a personal advantage and that might therefore in actuality or appearance compromise the integrity of the research. And you will find many times you will find in the newspapers about all these advertisements from the tobacco company who want to promote their thing and using that research. And you are helping those tobacco company in spite of knowing the problem that tobacco industry might bring to human subjects. Exactly the same on other areas too. And you find a lot of lobbies in particular. We are promoting that we should get out of the fossil fuel, but the fossil coal-fired plant units, coal manufacturers have a body which is giving a lot of funding for people to prove that this is not right. So you have that. That's where the conflict of interest comes. Then my next slide is, which is slide number 34, is on data management. That means we are talking about data acquisition, data management, data sharing, and data ownership. When you're talking about responsible conduct of research, it starts with the experimental design. It starts with the experimental design and the approval of the protocol. So it involves a lot of record keeping. Therefore, if you don't have the record, you will never be able to make sure that you are 100% accurate and you avoid any biases. So there are guides, my friend, which gives you the criteria for including and excluding research data from statistical analysis. And it entails responsibility for collection, usage, and sharing of data. Now I come to my slide number 35 when I'm talking about mentoring. This is very interesting. This is very interesting because when I talk about mentoring, I'm talking about promoting conduct of research in a responsible manner. That means I want to make sure that I reduce the risk of misconduct in my research. And therefore, you have to be careful about the misconduct in research. And let us see what is this. And this is basically a violation, my friends. This is basically a violation of the standard codes of scholarly conduct and ethical behavior in professional scientific research. That means I'm fabricating, I'm falsifying my results, I'm plagiarizing. Plagiarizing, there is no exception to that. And nowadays there are tools which are available where you can easily catch who is plagiarizing and who is not. I must admit that you might have written some paper and it's catching it as self-plagiarism. Self-plagiarism is not counted. It's only plagiarizing when you're plagiarizing someone else's work without giving credit to it. I can give you a story of one of my university student, not my student, one of my students. I was then the head of a department, and I know about a student who was a brilliant student, absolutely brilliant. You'd be surprised. At that time, he had 34 journal papers. And when he wrote the thesis, I don't know what happened to him, but he wrote a thesis in which he copied from someone else's work one chapter, which had no relevance at all. This was just a basic fundamental. My vice chancellor received a message from a university in Australia, in United States, saying that this work has been plagiarized. Anyway, I was forced by the vice chancellor to have an external body of 3 people. We looked at it and we found that that chapter was plagiarized. Do you know what happened? That brilliant student. He had a job in a university in Melbourne. I don't want to give you the name of that university. But that brilliant student, PhD, was withdrawn after 3 years after getting his PhD because the work was plagiarized. Then there are a lot of ghostwriters, that means someone else is writing for you. Don't do all that stuff. Photo manipulation, many people do that, especially when they have got these experimental research. They manipulate the photograph or suppression of or non-publication of data. Now, I come to my next one, whistleblowing. Now, I don't know whether you understand or not, but in Australia, whistleblowing is a legal thing. There's nothing wrong with whistleblowing. In some countries, it might be felt as something that you're dobbing against someone. There's no such thing in Australia. Whistleblowing is absolutely legal. And institutions had to address the allegation of research misconduct. That means if you have witnessed misconduct and you know that this is an unmistakable obligation to act. So you have to do that. Institutions should have process and produce procedures so it can investigate misconduct and mete out justice as appropriate. Justice has to be done. Then the compliance, especially the NIH compliance. Again, NIH is a health body, National Institute of Health. Compliance, they talk about the human subjects, which is the institutional review board, right? They talk about federal wide assurance. Then they talk about the animal subjects of all the animal care, etc., animal welfare assurance, and they talk about the research misconduct and conflict of interest policies. And I've done all that. Then authorship for sale. This is a very interesting one. Authorship for sale. You find that you get many people asking you for this. And there are two models that I can think of. One is that you are a genuine researcher and you want to write a paper. You take a leading position on the paper. But then you do not have the money to fund your, nowadays there are a lot of article processing charge in engineering. If you want to apply, say for argument's sake, in a European journal, it costs you about 3,000 Swiss franc, which comes to about Australian dollar, $5,000. You can't have, you sell authorship, you sell the slot for cash. That is not that model. The second model I can think about is that those which are paper mill, which generates false or nonsense article. And I get a lot of queries for that, where they advertise authorship slots for sale on social media. And I can see that where there is advertisement with subject area, impact factor, and all the Q factors, etc. So individuals from anywhere in the world can buy those slots. Now, someone might ask me, what is this authors for sale? Why is this an issue? And the very reason is that authors do not meet the authorship criteria. And I always find that these are low quality paper, or these are duplicate publication, where there is the facilitator or paper mill which sells the same article to multiple journals or multiple author group. So what signs are there? You'll find diverse group of authors. You find that you are not sure who is contributing to what. You might find there's spurious reasons for change given. You might find that frequent authorship change, and you find that advertisement for the article on social media. Immediately you know that these authorships are for sale and someone has bought it. I'm in slide number 41, and I've given you some examples of authorship for sale. And look at that. You can see that this is something which is always fishy. That's why I've got it highlighted in red, saying that look at the names of the authors itself. There's something fishy over there. Okay. Now, the manipulation of citation. And this is a very interesting thing. How do we manipulate? And I've had this problem before. Okay. Authors submit an article, you send it out for review, reviewers suggest citation of their own work or authors they are in collaboration with as a condition of acceptance. Okay, this is where the reviewers are making problems. Authors include references, reviewer recommends acceptance, and articles is accepted and citations are included. This is cheating by the reviewers. So you understand that here the reviewers or the experts are the problem. And my indicators are off-system communication between authors and reviewers. There's authors' complaints, there's irrelevant references, there are reviewers report with long list of suggested references, and most of them are bogus. Now I come to slide number 43 when I talk about paper mill. Because I use the word paper mill, I want to explain to you what is a paper mill. Okay, what is paper mill? This is a commercial organization which pays researcher to include their customers' references. Part of the paper mill commercial offering includes article for publication, then boost the citation of the article. Why is this an issue? Purely because you are inflating the citation unnecessarily. You find references which is irrelevant. I can tell you that there are Nobel laureates whose H index is less than 20. And they might be professors or not, but they don't bother. They don't. Where there could be some person who can construe that, and he or she might have a H index of 60 or 70. They might have cheated the system. So what signs are there? Irrelevant references. References that got nothing to do with what is in the text, and inclusion of reference which is published after the article was submitted. That means there was no connection of the author. So you do compromise in that, and there is a compromise in authorship, my friends. And these are basically the editorial team members, which includes the associate editors, editor-in-chiefs, etc., the guest editors, the peer reviewers, the vendors. So as soon as you find this, let the journal know if you find that someone is misbehaving. Then comes the paper trail. And in my in my presentation, I've actually mentioned the paper trail. That means someone is bribing the editors at scholarly journals, science investigation fund. Journal articles, editors who are there are key target for paper mill. Bribery is very common. I get a lot of, I'm a chief editor of an Australian Journal of Electrical and Electronics. I get so many offers coming from various parts of the world, right? And who are saying that that I'll give you so much money if you can do that. And I've given you some examples for that. But and my lecture is a bit long, and I see that I don't have much time. I'm just getting to the end of my lecture, so I'll skip some of my slides. I'll skip some of my slides and go towards my uh, that slide number 55. I'll go to slide number 55 because I've given you a lot of examples and a lot of figures, and I'm just skipping that. I'm going to slide number 55. Okay, and sorry, 56, the next one. So you might say all these things are happening. What is the journals doing? We are all refining the authorship change process. We are all screening. The special issue is a very big problem. I've given some examples of special issues, but this is a very big problem, my friend. These special issues are a big pain, and I therefore, in my journal, I do not accept any special issues. I do not accept any special issues. So I must make sure if you are doing special issues, make sure you do the screening properly. You monitor the submission trends, you look at duplication, you look at cross-industry projects, you look at ethics and integrity team. You find that there are policies where you can enable and act very quickly, and many journals has that. Uh, Now I coming to, I don't want to go into the policy. I just want to go towards my end and talk about resources. If you want to know about resources, there are a number of resources available, my friends. You've got the portfolio manager, you've got the editor's code of conduct. Every journal has that. Editorial policies are there. There's something called COPE, which is basically a policy paper. You've got ethics committee. You've got new things like what to expect when raising a concern about a published or submitted article. All these new things are there. Now, why you want to choose EIT, and this is very easy thing. I think I think you want to choose EIT because it'll definitely boost your career. EIT has got accreditation. It has not only accreditation in Australia, all over the world. Our main areas of engineering are electrical, mechanical, civil, and industrial. So and you can better maintain a work-life balance. And last thing, you can do this online. So you don't have to physically come to Australia or somewhere else. You might have a supervisor in Australia. You might have another supervisor in Spain, so on and so forth. Then the question is that why you want to do EIT DEng is flexible, delivery model is unique. Most of our projects are industry based. Work integrated learning is there, and research is completely there. And you can contribute to the body of science. And my last presentation, which is slide number 61, I want to say good luck to you. Good luck to you. I can tell you the Doctor of Engineering program is very challenging, but you can only come to the frontier of human knowledge by challenging projects. Irrespective of the consequence and outcome, you will gain a lot. You will learn a lot, not about yourself alone, but about the field of research that you are doing. So with that, I've completed my presentation and I will come back to my friend, my my wonderful friend, to tell me where I've goofed up.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Professor Kalam, for that. Very well informative. Like I was really impressed with the information. Hopefully, we still have more time, right? But yep, we can actually discuss that in details. But so, yep, thank you so much for those who are asking. For the upcoming courses. So we do have our Doctor of Engineering, which will start this coming 3rd of March, 2025. Okay, we also have the on-campus Doctor of Engineering, same 3rd of March, 2025. Okay, and for the upcoming webinars, just visit our website and you can actually see our upcoming webinars. Okay. And then, yep, this would be the link to the survey. We actually require our attendees to, of course, fill out the form, the survey form. Okay, and yep. So for a short Q&A, Professor Kalam, we have Muhammad Ali here. So I will allow him to ask you directly the questions. So
Yeah.
Muhammad, can you please just a sec? Muhammad Ali.
Can Muhammad write if he has difficulty
Mm,
in speaking?
I'm actually
He
Muhammad
might have
Ali.
left.
No, he's still here. I cannot see his
Is
name.
he is he is he in the chat or is he in the
Yeah,
Q
he
and
did
A?
send. Yep, he did posted a Q and in the Q and
Oh,
A. So
sorry.
I'm actually
Let me
looking
look
for
at the
it.
Q&A and I might read it directly from there. Ah, um, this is someone who has written. Mohammed says, why EIT is not accredited like MEE in Australia or Engineering D in UK? Haha, very good question, Mohammed. Absolutely brilliant question.
Mhm.
Doctorate program anywhere in the world, in particular in Australia, there is no accreditation. But in Australia, we have got accreditation through TEXA. which is tertiary education quality system in Australia. And it has the accreditation. Who told you that it doesn't have it? But it is not like an undergraduate or the Masters of Electrical Engineering program that EIT offers in Australia or overseas. Because that master's program which is there and that you see in EIT is a 3 + 2 years model, is more following a Bologna model, which is a European model,
Mhm.
and only 3 universities in Australia are doing that. One is Melbourne University, second is Western Australia University, and the third is EIT. So we are the only 3 universities which are following Bologna model, which is 3 + 2 years, and the fifth year is of the EIT model or of Melbourne University model or Western Australia model, brings you into stage 1 competency, exactly like what happens with other 37 universities in Australia, which gets the same stage 1 competency from Engineers Australia. Is that clear to you, Mohammed? Okay, I finished Mohammed now. Let me see. Is there anyone else besides Muhammad? I thought I had a question from someone. Yeah, this is someone who has said that he's very happy with the detail and highly.
Mhm.
Please put this to the question and answer session, which has been done. It's not in the question and answer session. It is in
That's me.
the
Mhm.
it's in chat session. So
Okay, so
yeah, it's the same. Whether you look at the chat session, I'm looking at the chat session, and I can see that I'm very happy that whoever you are happy with the presentation, and I'm glad about that. Yes. Any other comments?
so we have one question here, Professor Kalam. What is ghostwriting?
Sorry, what is
What is
ghostwriting? Yeah, very
ghostwriting?
good. Very good question. Who's that? Where is that? In chat or Q&A? I can't hear you. Can't hear
Q&A
you.
section. Q&A
Q&A.
section. Mhm.
Uh, I can see that. Why is I can't see anything. Why EIT is not accredited? That's the only one I can see. No, I
That's
can't see.
below
Anyway,
Muhammad's
don't,
question.
don't worry. Don't worry. I'll give the answer to that. It's a very good question, and the question was that could you repeat that, Marv, again so that everyone can hear it?
Yep. So basically, the question is coming from Waka Mona. So she was actually asking, what is ghostwriting?
Okay. He's saying, what is ghost writing? Is the ghost coming from heaven or hell? No, no, no. Ghost writing means
Ghost.
I'll tell you what's the ghost writing, and whoever has written that I can't see your name, so I don't know who's written that question, who's asked that question, but I can definitely answer you. Whoever you are, right? You are doing the work, and I don't want any credit for that work. I act as a ghost for the work that you are doing. I write your thesis, I do your paper, I do everything of you, and you pay me. Nothing is free in this world, my friend. You pay me. If you pay me, I do it. That is ghostwriting. Illegal, immoral, unethical. Any other questions? I can't hear you. You're muted. You're muted.
Professor, we have another question from Muhammad Ali, so I will allow him to ask you directly, okay?
No problem. Where is he writing? In Q&A or in
Muhammad,
chat?
would you be able to turn on your microphone, perhaps, and ask directly to Professor Kalam?
Unmute yourself, Muhammad. Muhammad, Sheikh Muhammad. Unmute yourself. Muhammad, can you
Muhammad,
unmute yourself? Might as well write Muhammad if you can't do that.
yeah, I think he also write it down. So let me just read
Yeah,
that one.
yeah, he's written.
Yeah.
Hi,
Um.
I'm rescheduling to start. Then something happened. Uh,
Yeah, I think this is
I
following.
think he has written the chat session. Yes, it says, "Hi, I'm rescheduling to start my DEng from July 2025. I want to know about the topic management. Will they come from EIT or individual research topic?" Mohammed, Oh, if you are Muhammad who has written this, brilliant question. I think, first of all, I congratulate you for that question. Okay. Uh, First of all, let me first tell you the process. The process is that you make the application, it's identifiable that this is valid, you are a valid student, you've got the qualification, experience, skills to be able to do the DEng program. Not everyone can do the DEng program. You have to have adequate experience in the industry do it, right? The program is divided in such a manner that 1/3 of the program is by coursework and 2/3 is by research work. There must be a project that you have in mind. Now, it's quite possible that some students might not have the project, they might not have it written down, right? So they might have help of individual supervisors who might help them. I do not like to write a project that you have to do. Remember, this is Doctor of Engineering, the highest qualification. We call it AQF of 10. There's no other qualification higher than this. So we want you to be able to draft a proposal. Now, you might not have a full proposal. You might have some issues with it. You might have language issues. You might not have understanding issues. You might not know what it constitutes. That supervisor will help you. At EIT, we have a policy from our dean, Dr. Steve Mackay, who has said that when the accreditation was going through, he committed at that time that only the most senior most staff members will be the principal supervisor of the students, of DEng students. You see the word senior most supervisors. Okay, so I can assure you, because EIT is a young institution, there are a lot of young people, right? A lot of young academics, but they cannot become a principal supervisor. I have got about 5 associate supervisors in different projects. That's those 6 students that I have who are who are learning the trick with me, because they know that I won't last very long. So they're trying to expand that by making sure that the young people learn the trade. So I can assure you, the individual researchers who will be allocated to your project, you can ask the project coordinator and the DEng coordinator who that person will be. You can write to that person and say, is this an adequate project or not? Normally, you will refine and redefine the projects while you're doing. The beauty with the DEng program is in the second semester of the first year, you start your research. So you'll be doing concurrently research and training. Third year is completely, the final year is purely research. I hope, Mohammed, I've answered your question. There is another question from someone. Someone has raised their hand. Can you unmute yourself, my friend? Unmute yourself. Yep. Can you say it? No?
Hello. Hello, good morning, yes. Profs.
Good morning, sir. Who are you? Yeah. You are Ishaku Ibrahim. Sheikh Ibrahim, tell me.
Yeah, Ishaku Ibrahim from Nigeria.
Yeah, Sheikh Ibrahim, tell me. Yeah, I know everything. That's why I'm a prof, man.
Prof, first, let me congratulate you for your numerous achievements, especially in the field of engineering. You see, and well delivered.
Jazakallah khairan. Jazakallah khairan.
Yeah, and I really want to sympathize with you on the research you were doing on hydrogen that eventually you were asked to stop. You see, my question here is that now that there is advancement in the studies of hydrogen generally, what is the fate of that research going forward?
Look, have you got another 2 hours, Ibrahim? I can talk about this. Okay, but I'll make it very brief. You've asked a very difficult question. And you have asked a question which is very dear to me, and I can talk about that for hours, right? And my wife always complains that I've got verbal diarrhea, so I can talk and talk and talk and talk, right? But I'll make it very brief, Sheikh Ibrahim. I'll make it very brief. And I can tell you that we started with fossil fuel plant, right? When we were in the 90s and all, we were in full-fledged 89% of our energy used to come from coal-fired plant. Then we realized that there are some issues. And we knew that CO2 emission is causing environmental disaster. Our ices were melting, our winters were becoming more colder, our summer was becoming more hotter, we were getting bushfires, we could get typhoon, we were getting all sorts of things. So they wanted to reduce it to less than 1.5 degrees Celsius, right? So there were a number of things which happened, Kyoto Agreement, COP2, whatever it is, all that which happened. A Paris Agreement came in, many things came in, and the biggest polluters were countries like Australia, which is a very small population, but a very rich population. And we were polluting, and we could not bring it down to 1.5 degrees Celsius. We are still polluting. So the government had to come up with a decision, and they banned building any new coal-fired plant. So from 89% generation, nowadays we are about 60% generation. Slowly and steadily, that 30-35 years period where the length of the plant, the life of the plant is, that plant is becoming old and becoming useless, and we have to renew that plant. So what we have decided as a country, I said, we have decided not to use fossil fuel plant. So we started using gas. That was the next alternative. That's also a fossil fuel. We never knew that gas was more dangerous than CO2 because there was nitrous oxide being emitted. A small amount of nitrous oxide is more dangerous than a big amount of CO2. So then the government said, we can't go for gas-fired plant too. So there was no other option, especially in a continent like Australia. There's a very good option, and there could be hydro generation. That's a very good. But in Australia, there's only one river. This is a continent, okay? It is as big as the United States, my friend, okay? With 26 million people, okay? And we only have one river. In only one state, which is Tasmania, we have got number of rivers, but the whole country is only one river. So there's no water in this country. So you can't use hydro in this country. And in other part of the world, hydro is becoming more important for 3 purposes. Number one, water is life, my friend. If I stop drinking water, there is no life, right? So water is life. That's number one. Number two, which I have, is that water is required for agricultural purpose. If there's no food, I can't live. So it's more important for human being to have water for our daily need than to have water for power generation. So you will find slowly and steadily hydro plant going down. There is an option. A very good option is to use nuclear power. Very good option, nuclear. There's no doubt. I'm a big supporter of nuclear power. But in Australia, we have got a legislation which says that you cannot have nuclear power plant. This is a legislation, and until and unless 2/3 of the population goes against the legislation, we have tried it 2-3 times. All the time, this legislation has been defeated. We cannot change. So Australia is a non-nuclear country. Good, bad, I'm not talking about. They're trying again. The opposition party is trying again to bring back the nuclear debate. Okay, I think there's a very valid point to have nuclear plant, but in Australia we can't have it. So what we thought that, what is the other alternative? So the other alternative is hydrogen. You can have exactly the coal-fired plant like a base plant, and we have got a lot of ammonia, and we can convert that ammonia into hydrogen. Okay, and we can convert that into green hydrogen. Remember, there is a blue hydrogen, there is a gray hydrogen, there is a green hydrogen. So we can convert that into green hydrogen, which is environmentally very friendly, and convert that hydrogen into producing energy. Very nice energy. Okay, but there is a bit of a problem. We have Sheikh Ibrahim. Ibrahim has been disconnected. I'm admitting him. I just brought him inside. Okay. So then what happens is that Sheikh Ibrahim is that we have this, and so we are now trying to produce hydrogen from ammonia. So there's a lot of work to be required. We are also now trying, one of my PhD students is working on using ammonia and then looking at plasma. So we are looking at plasma, especially NHP. We are using that to produce hydrogen for electricity purpose. So I've got 4 students working in this area. And this is an area where I can have a lot of things going on. And so I hope I have, Sheikh Ibrahim, I have explained to you to the best of my knowledge and belief.
Yep. Thank you so
Very
much
well,
for that.
Professor. Your wife has proven that yes, you have diarrhea in your mouth.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I like your cap, Sheikh Ibrahim.
Thank you very much. And hopefully
Very
I will
nice
join
cap.
you for
Very nice cap.
hopefully very soon I will join you for my PhD program too.
Inshallah, inshallah. Say the word
That's good.
inshallah.
Great to
Okay,
hear.
inshallah.
Thank you. Thank you,
Inshallah.
Ishako. Thank you so much
Yeah,
for
thank you. Thank you. Man.
thank you.
Yes, Marvin. There's
Yep,
another one who has said
there's
thank
another
you.
one. So we have
Yeah.
one last
Yeah.
we have
I'm
one
sorry it's
question
gone
here.
beyond time, but the topic was so interesting. I could not stop it. Marvin, I'm sorry that I've gone further than what I'm supposed to be doing.
No worries, no worries. So we have one last question. Let's just have this one question from Gideon. Okay, I will just read this one, Gideon, because I'm having hard time from my screen. So, he was actually asking, I have an MSc or Master's in Biomedical Engineering. How does Doctor of Engineering help me become a better engineer? Thanks. And he also added,
Again,
is the use of AI for writing thesis and research
yeah.
work unethical? Those are the 2 questions from Gideon.
Yeah. Again, it's a very elaborate question that this person has asked, and a very good question, I must admit. But in the same token, I want to mention that I want to clarify one thing. In EIT, I'm talking about EIT number one. In EIT, we only do I told you, electrical, mechanical, civil, and industrial automation. These are the 4 areas that we specialize in. We are a small institution. We do not have a broad-based aspect. However, if there is the application of biomedical engineering to electrical, mechanical, civil, or industrial automation, and the best example I can think is industrial automation. If there is a particular thing, I think it can be done. The ethics committee, that is the headache of EIT. They have to formulate it's none of your headache. It has to be done through that. You have to follow the process that will be told to you of what is the ethics required for any project that you're doing. I hope, Mr. Person from India, I am from India too, just for your information, right? So whoever you are from India, I wish you all the best. And I think biomedical engineering is the future.
All right, thank you so much for that, Professor Kalam, and thank you, Gideon, for your question. Hopefully, it answers your questions. All right, so yep, that would be our last question. Last question for today, Professor Kalam. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending, and yep, I think that's it. So,
Marvin,
yes,
can I have the last word, please?
yes, please. Yes.
I just wanted to say that I started these sessions and I've done 8 of these sessions. I had the first session was on getting started in DEng program. Then developing the research topic was my second presentation. The third presentation was research methodology. The fifth presentation was improving research quality and impact. Then I talked about thesis writing and structure. Then I talked about presenting research. Then I talked about the navigating the world of academic publishing, and today I talked about human ethics and research integrity. I talked about all those 8 topics, and now I'm not going to repeat this. I mean, Marvin said that we are starting again in March. Yes, we are starting again in March, but most of the topics will be new topics. And so I want to make sure that you understand this very clearly. At EIT, we are very concerned whether you enter EIT program or not. That's not important. We want to have a great pool of students like you who will be interested in research and who can say that once upon a time we learned about this from someone from EIT. Thank you very much for attending today's presentation, and all the best to all of you.
Thank you so much, Professor Kalam, and thank you so much for all attendees. And yeah, have a good one. Enjoy the rest of the day. See ya.